So do you ever have a wild craving for something sweet to eat and you're kind of stuck because you don't have anything readily made and you're like, oh boy, what do I do? Well, sometimes I get that kind of craving and then I look through my fridge and I find a few things and we pull them together. So today I'm going to show you how to just grab some food that you might have in your refrigerator or in your kitchen, and we're going to make a dessert out of it. I have some flour tortillas. These are the burrito size. You can do the more of the taco size if you want, and make a smaller burrito, of course, but this is all I had, so I'm going to use this. I took about 3 or 4 of them and heated it up in the microwave for about 30 seconds, just enough to make it pliable. I have some peach pie filling. You might have cherry or blueberry, some kind of pie filling. Got that, right? And I happen to have some cream cheese that I let come to room temperature, and then I added some of my lemon curd, about 2 tablespoons to the brick of cream cheese, the zest of 1 lemon, and a tablespoon of leaven, along with 1 heaping tablespoon of powdered sugar, and I just mixed it all up. You don't have to do the cream cheese portion if you don't like it. You could do cream cheese and add a couple tablespoons of your favorite jam in there. You could also do some vanilla extract with lemon zest and a tablespoon or so of lemon juice. And then of course you would want to sweeten that a little bit with maybe a tablespoon or 2 of powdered sugar. And we're gonna mix it all up. We're gonna start layering our pocket pie. Actually, we could call it a burrito pie. You can call it anything. All right, I'm just gonna stick a scoop of my cream cheese. Once again, this is optional. Not everybody likes cream cheese. And using a slotted spoon so I don't get too much of the sauce, I'm going to layer in some of my peaches. And depending on how big your tortilla is going to depend on how much of the filling you can put in there. I'm just going to roll it like a burrito. Just keep rolling it up. And there you go. There's one. This will not be our finished pie. We're going to deep fat fry it and then powder it with cinnamon sugar. So we want to make sure our tortillas are pliable. Once again, I heated these tortillas up between 30 seconds to a minute. My goal is not to just totally cook them, but to make them nice and soft so that I can work with them. Let's do a next one. I'm just putting in what I think will fill up the burrito nicely, if you will. It's kind of making like a fruit burrito, aren't we? Layer on your fruit. Good generous amount. I'm going to cheat this side over and fold it over into the center of the tortilla. Then I'm going to fold my ends in. We are making, looks like an envelope, doesn't it? If we were to pull this over, it looks like an envelope. I like to then cheat these little corners back, and it seems to hold better. Once I've done that, then just start rolling once again. Here's another little trick. Sometimes the tortilla on this end doesn't want to stay shut. So I take a little bit of my fruit sauce and just kind of wet that end so that I can roll it over, and then the pocket will hold. When you let it sit a little bit, it will eventually glue itself shut. Just a little bit. We're just gonna like wet it down, not dripping in sauce, but just enough to wet that tortilla. Okay, I've got one more that I'm gonna make. Then we're gonna go on to the frying and coating it in cinnamon sugar. Yum, so good. So we folded it over on itself, pull in our ends, take these little wings and pull them back, and then just continue to roll over our burrito, remembering to put a little dab of the sauce as our glue on this end so it'll hold, and just roll it over. One more note about these burritos. By the way, I was able to get 4 out of my ingredients, 4 pies. If you find that your tortilla is wanting to crack as you fold it up, it is not heated up enough. Put it back in your microwave, give it another, I don't know, 10-15 seconds to make sure it's really pliable so you don't get little cracks in the corner, because you don't want your filling to seep out when you fry it. Okay, maybe you have a deep fat fryer or a deep pan or a frying pan. It just depends on what you're using. You do want to get your oil up to 375 degrees. And you can tell if you don't have a thermometer, when your oil is ready, if you drop in just a little piece of your tortilla and it immediately comes to the surface and starts to fry. You don't want the oil too hot because you can burn it and it won't cook all the way through. And of course, you don't want it too cool because you'll just get a soggy pie. Nobody likes soggy pies, right? Get yourself a cooling rack. If you don't have one, you can put on a plate. I like to put some paper towel over my cooling rack to catch a little bit of the grease. And I have mixed up, I'll get my little piece of tortilla out of there. I have mixed up 3 tablespoons sugar to 1 tablespoon cinnamon. Now, let's talk cinnamon. Not all cinnamon is equal. Do yourself a favor and get this cinnamon. Simply organic, Vietnamese cinnamon. It is the best cinnamon out there. It's a little more pricey, just a little more, but it is so worth it. That is my tip for today. All right, we've got our cinnamon sugar waiting for us. We've got our burrito pie or pocket pie, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to put it into the, oh, and by the way, use tongs and make sure you have a hot pad or something to protect your hands if need be. Have that close by. I'm going to drop this into my hot oil. And because I have enough oil in my pan, I can totally submerge the burrito. And this would be called deep fat frying because there's enough fat to cover the whole surface of what I'm cooking. And we're just going to let this cook about 2 to 3 minutes each side until it's nice and golden brown. Make sure you maintain your temperature at 375 degrees. When you use a thermometer, it helps you to maintain that heat. So this is going to cook. You see how this is getting golden brown? It's cooking the tortilla. Our idea is not to cook necessarily the filling so much because it's pretty much ready to go. It is to crisp up this tortilla. Do not overcrowd the pan. Now I'm using a very small pan today, so obviously I can only cook one at a time. But when you are frying, the last thing you want to do is overcrowd your pan. You want space in between your food. Otherwise, it won't fry, it will steam. And we will not get our crispy bits that we need, our crispy finish. This is getting done. Just checking the other side to make sure it's golden brown. It is. And that took just a couple minutes each side. I'm just checking my pie, making sure it's golden brown all over. And then once I'm sure that we've got a nice golden brown color on our pie, we can then remove it from the heat. Be careful, use your tongs. Don't let it drop back in the oil, that's dangerous. And you're just gonna set it on the paper towel just for a little bit. I don't wanna get all the grease off because that grease is gonna hold my cinnamon sugar. So I just put down there a little bit and then I'm gonna put it in my cinnamon sugar. An easy way to get the sugar all over, of course, is to use a spoon and just start spreading it all over your little pie. Turn it over, get all of the sides. We don't want to miss any sides, right? This is an awesome quick dessert. So now we have it all covered, all sides covered with our cinnamon sugar. Now you can set it on your rack to rest. Eating it right away is extremely hot, so be very careful. I would give it a couple minutes for the filling to cool off some. Once it's cooled some, you can dig into it and eat it. It's delicious. I like to store these in the freezer and then let them come back to room temperature to eat them if I've made a lot and I don't want to eat them all in one sitting. But these are excellent. And look how fast that was. That was easy. All I had in my fridge was some cream cheese. I added some of my lemon curd that I'd made in a previous video. Some tablespoon of powdered sugar to that block of cream cheese. Some lemon zest. I had tortillas. And I had some fruit pie filling along with my cinnamon sugar. And you have a dessert that, oh, so good. Okay, let me cut into this pie for you because it is delicious. I'm gonna set this down. You hear that crunch? That's the crunch of the tortilla. Mmm. Remember, the filling is still pretty hot right now, so I would wait a couple minutes to eat it. But do you see how the cream filling came out and you see the fruit inside there? Oh, cream cheese. Mmm, so good. So good. There you go. You have a little pocket pie.